Morning, everybody. This is Tom Bracey with Remax Elite Homes QC, and today I have a little video we're going to do on how to make your closing attorney real irritated. Okay, so there's 10 things we're going to go over to accomplish that. My artwork is not the greatest, but this is you, and this is the closing attorney when things don't go smoothly. Okay, so what I've done is listed the top 10 things to be thinking about to prevent that kind of situation from happening. Okay. Number 10 thing that irritates the attorney is not having the utilities ready to transfer. Okay. So you got to make sure you're coordinating with the other agent to make sure that those utilities get transferred over. And usually about a week ahead or so, the buyer needs to call. The seller also needs to call to make sure those utilities get put in the right name, okay? Especially in the wintertime, because things can freeze up. If the utilities get turned off, somebody calls in, they get turned off, the the buyer needs to call in and make sure that the heat keeps going, okay? Okay, so that's number 10. Number 9. Number 9 thing that irritates attorneys is not being present at the closing. Okay, so I know that sounds hard to believe, but some agents don't go to their closings, and it's impossible to go to every closing. If you have a large team and it's impossible to do that, then you're gonna let your client know that ahead of time. But just not showing up at the closing or being late to the closing is something that really bothers the attorneys. They might need something from you. That's very important, okay? So make sure you go to your closings. Number 8. Okay, now the number 8 thing that really bugs attorneys is not having the language in the contract clear and concise, okay? So you always want to make sure you have the correct amendments, the correct addendums. As you're going along through the contract, if you need to change things, make sure it's done correctly, it's clear, it's concise. Even when you're writing the offer, if there's something you need help with, make sure you check with us and we'll try to help you get that written clearly and concisely so it's can be interpreted easily, okay? The number 7 thing, I'll find number 7 here. Number 7 is the contract's not updated. So they're getting close to closing and they notice that the contract is out of contract, okay? So if you need to update it, get the initials, get the dates, signed, whether it's the closing date changing, the possession date changes, the price changes, the financing is changed through the course of the contract or the pending. Those things have to all be updated, signed, initialed, so you're not out of contract. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Number 6, getting down there. Talking and interrupting the attorney during the closing is number 6. Okay, and so here's the attorney. He's trying to either the seller's attorney is going over the papers that need to be signed by the seller, and the buyer's attorney is going over all the note, the mortgage, all these important papers that the buyer needs to sign. And so sitting there and talking to them or interrupting them or whatever is all that's going to do is irritate the attorney because they're trying to focus on getting all their work done. Once that's done, if you have a receipt for inspections that needs to be signed or a termite that needs to be signed or a gift that you want to give when the closing is done, then that's all fine and dandy. But during the closing, it's best to not interrupt. Okay. I think it's a good idea if you're going to give a gift to don't do it until after the closing. Okay, so bringing a gift into closing, I suppose is fine. I've seen some people do that, but I really think the better way is to do it is to wait until after the closing is over with. Okay, okie doke. We're getting down to number 5, and number 5 thing is not having your clients ready. So the keys, the garage door openers. Again, being on time, having their driver's license, do they need a cashier's check? Do they need a personal check? All those things need to be coordinated with you and the lender to make sure they know that they need everything, what they need to bring to the closing, and they have everything for their closing. Okay, so preparation of your client. All right. Number 4, not having all the invoices. Okay, so the attorneys have their legals, their paralegals, or secretaries prepare the CDs. So they need all the invoices for any bills that need to be paid. Commission statements all need to be sent in well ahead of time so they can be put on the CD. Closing disclosure on the HUD statement well ahead of time. Okay, even a week ahead is fine. If you have all that stuff, get it to them as soon as it comes in for you. Okay. One thing that really helps me is I log. So as I'm going through the pending, I make sure I have all the players, the loan officers, the processors, the attorneys, the other agent. So as you're getting into that pending process, you're copying everybody as you're going along, so make sure that you're all on the same page. Okay, so you got to be documenting things, whether you do it on your computer. I happen to like to just handwrite everything as it comes in and log it so I know that it's been done. Is the warranty turned in? Is the all the inspections, when they're done, who's doing them, what time they go? Especially you listing agents, you want to make sure you're documenting everything that happens, when it happens, and so on. And then you can sleep at night knowing that those things have been addressed, and you can move ahead, keep moving ahead. If you want copies of these, I'd be happy to give them to you. But however you want to log your stuff and have your checklist, as long as you have one, that's the main thing. Okay? Now we're getting down there, number 3. Items that are still in the home at the final walkthrough. Okay, so we do a final walkthrough. Oh my gosh, so there's still stuff in the house. There's junk, there's clothes, there's furniture, there's whatever. There's been no communication about that, and everybody just assumes that everybody knows what to do. Okay, sellers need to be out of the house at closing with everything, unless there's some other special language in the contract or other arrangements that have been made. So sometimes homes are sold as is with all the contents in them, usually not. But again, there needs to be a final walkthrough to make sure that it's done. In fact, I think it's good to do 2. Maybe do one just by yourself, and then you know that the coast is clear, there's not going to be any surprises. So then you do your real final walkthrough with your buyer, and then you know everything is going to be good to go. Okay? So, the final walkthrough. Number 2 thing that irritates attorneys are unresolved repair issues, or the repairs just did not get made. So here you have your contract, the seller was supposed to fix this or whatever, and it just doesn't get done. Okay? So you're going to the closing and you're sitting there, and it can get real uncomfortable, real heated, because, okay, why didn't this get done? Are we going to have to escrow for that? And the lender says, no, we can't escrow for that. So now you have this big to-do going on, fiasco at the closing that should not be happening, because all of that should have been done and addressed and made sure that any repair issues were resolved ahead of time. Okay? By the way, a closing should take about 20 minutes. No more really than a half an hour. Okay, sometimes with the loans it might take a little bit longer, but if a closing is taking 45 minutes to an hour to an hour and a half, or not even happening at all because of these things, then that's really something you need to be working on. Okay, the number one thing that really irritates attorneys is no communication on the abstract. Not as big of a problem in Illinois because they don't deal with abstracts as much, but Iowa, we have abstracts to deal with. So here we are, we're trying to move ahead toward closing, and you get a call from the attorney or the paralegal, where's the abstract? Nobody knows where the abstract is or even what it is sometimes. So your listing agents, when you're listing a property, find the abstract. Make sure you know where it is before you even get an offer on the property. Buyer's agents, check with the listing agent. Hey, does your client know where their abstract is? Because we need to get it to this attorney or that attorney or whatever. They want to know where that is ahead of time because, of course, they have to update it, do the title work, and all that stuff, and they can't do that in 5 minutes. Okay. So that's probably the number one thing there. Okay. So we're going to all have our attorneys not look like this, but they are going to look like this. Okay. You want your attorney smiling. You want everybody on the closing side happy. You want your buyers happy. You want the sellers happy. Everybody goes away from the closing happy. Okay, so have a great day. It's really cold out there. Stay warm, and we'll talk to you later.